What if the answers to your biggest problems today were already solved thousands of years ago? Not by self-help gurus or motivational speakers, but by men and women who lived through war, exile, and loss, and still built lives of extraordinary clarity and purpose. History's greatest leaders didn't have smartphones or productivity apps. What they had was something far more powerful, hard-won wisdom about what it actually means to be human. And the remarkable thing is that wisdom doesn't age. It applies to your relationships, your career, your doubts, and your search for meaning just as powerfully today as it did 2,000 years ago. Today we're exploring 5 transformative shifts from the wisest minds in history. 5 ideas that, if you truly internalize them, will change the way you think, act, and live. These aren't abstract theories. They are practical tools, battle-tested by emperors and philosophers who chose to live extraordinarily. Let's begin. 1. The virtue of silence. Zeno of Elea taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you speak, to gain true understanding. On the surface, this sounds simple, but in a world that rewards noise, that celebrates the loudest voice and the boldest opinion, silence has become a radical act. Think about the last important conversation you had. How much of your mental energy was spent actually listening, and how much was spent preparing your next response? Most of us listen to reply, not to understand. When you stop rushing to fill every silence with your own words, something remarkable happens. You begin noticing things you never noticed before. Yeah, the hesitation in someone's voice, the real question hiding beneath the one being asked, the tension beneath the surface of a conversation. Great leaders throughout history understood this. Lincoln was known for sitting quietly in meetings, absorbing every perspective before speaking. Roosevelt gave his full, undivided attention to whoever stood before him. They knew that the person who listens holds more power than the person who speaks. Silence also creates space for self-knowledge. When you stop talking, you begin hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You separate what you actually believe from what you've simply been conditioned to repeat. Reflection is where wisdom is born. The challenge? In your next important conversation, commit to listening fully before you respond. Don't rehearse. Just listen, so you'll be surprised how much others begin to trust your words when you choose them carefully. 2. The concept of Kairos. The ancient Greeks had 2 distinct words for time, and understanding the difference could change how you approach every goal and decision in your life. The first is Chronos, the ticking clock, the calendar, the deadline. Most of us are enslaved by Chronos, always behind, always rushing, always anxious about running out of time. The second is Kairos. Not how much time has passed, but the quality of a moment, the right time, the opportune window, the perfect alignment of circumstances when action becomes not just possible, but powerful. Think of a farmer. You cannot force a crop to grow by worrying about it. But a skilled farmer prepares the soil, reads the seasons, and acts decisively when the moment of harvest arrives. That is Kairos, the wisdom to recognize when conditions are right, and the patience to wait until they are. In our culture of instant gratification, we've become terrible at this. We launch before we're ready. We speak before we've thought. We quit before the seed has had time to grow. Some of history's greatest achievements were products, not of relentless hustle, but of patient, strategic waiting. Darwin spent 20 years refining his theory before publishing it. Mandela spent 27 years in prison and emerged perfectly prepared for the moment history required of him. This doesn't mean passivity. Waiting for Kairos means intense preparation. You sharpen your skills, build your foundations, stay alert. And when the right moment arrives, and it will, you move with everything you have. 3. Intellectual humility. Socrates made one of the most counterintuitive claims in the history of human thought. He said the wisest thing he knew was that he knew nothing, and this wasn't false modesty. It was the foundation of his entire philosophy. The moment you believe you are an expert, you stop growing. The moment you think you have the answer, you stop asking the question. And in a world that constantly changes, a closed mind is the most dangerous thing you can carry. We see this everywhere. The experienced manager who refuses new approaches because they contradict how things have always been done. The relationship where both partners stopped truly listening because they assume they already know what the other will say. Certainty, but it turns out, is the enemy of progress. The greatest innovators in history shared one trait. They maintained what Zen Buddhism calls a beginner's mind. Einstein called his greatest asset not his intelligence, but his sense of wonder. Feynman was famous for saying he didn't know, and meaning it as an invitation to explore. Intellectual humility doesn't mean having no convictions. It means holding them loosely enough to update them when the evidence demands it. Stay curious. Stay open, because a belief that cannot survive scrutiny isn't wisdom. It's just habit. 4. The concentric circles of concern. The Stoic philosopher Heracles described human connection through the image of concentric circles, rings expanding outward from the self. At the center is you, then your immediate family, then extended family, then your community, then your country, and at the outermost ring, all of humanity. Most people live focused almost entirely on the innermost circles, their own needs, their own tribe. Heracles argued that true human strength comes from drawing those outer circles inward, learning to treat strangers with the warmth you'd show a cousin, and cousins with the warmth you'd show a sibling. This isn't idealism, it's practical wisdom. Research consistently shows that people with broad, genuine social connections are more mentally resilient, more creative, and live longer than those who are isolated or tribalistic. Empathy is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful tools our species possesses. Expanding your circle of concern also protects against one of the most corrosive forces in modern life: tribalism. When you divide the world into us and them, you lose access to the full richness of human experience. You cut yourself off from perspectives that could challenge and strengthen your thinking. A small world produces a small life. The practice is simple. This week, extend genuine curiosity to someone outside your usual circle. Not politeness, real interest in another human being's experience. You may be surprised how much you have in common with people you assumed were nothing like you. 5. Memento Vivere. You may have heard of Memento Mori, the practice of remembering that you will die, used by Stoics to sharpen focus and strip away the trivial. But there is a lesser-known counterpart equally important: Memento Vivere. Remember to live. Many of us spend so much time worrying about the future and analyzing the past that we forget to actually inhabit our own lives. We postpone joy. We delay meaning. We tell ourselves we'll really start living once conditions are right. Once we have more money, more time, more certainty, and the years pass. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of the anxiety consuming our energy is directed at things that either never happen or that we cannot control. And while we're busy suffering over imagined futures, the actual present, the only place where life is ever happening, slips by unnoticed. Memento Vivere is a call to aligned action. Are the things you do every day actually connected to the life you say you want to live? Are your daily habits building towards something that genuinely matters to you? The best time to build your legacy is not someday. It is right now, with what you have, in the life you are actually living. Action is the only cure for anxiety. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence, and confidence makes the next step possible. 5 shifts, 5 ancient tools for a modern life. Silence more than you speak, and let understanding replace reaction. Recognize the difference between Chronos and Kairos, and act at the right moment, rather than just the urgent one. Stay a student always, because intellectual humility is the foundation of real growth. Expand your circle of concern, because empathy is strength.